I am so proud of PaulHardy. He truly is one of our great Canadian style heroes, truly a great Canadian, iconic Canadian designer. I was fortunate enough to be at his first showing at Toronto Fashion Week back in 2002. So almost 15 years later, he has stuck to his guns. He has honed his craft. He's been brave. He's taken chances. He's hung in there. And boy, does he create some beautiful pieces. Please welcome PaulHardy. My friend, PaulHardy. Oh, so proud of you. What a beautiful, beautiful array. And you're always telling stories. You're really one of the few designers I think that we have that's just adamant about telling stories. Tell me about the story behind this collection.
Well,
there's a few of them, I'm sure.
A few of them, yeah. As you could probably tell, the first part of the show had a much different color palette. That was from our current spring-summer collection, which is available in the pop-up store. So we wanted to kind of introduce that element. The second or two-thirds of the show was from our pre-fall, fall-winter that's coming for 2017. As you can see, we did a lot of shearling coats. That's a new brand that I started to develop about 2 years ago under the name of Lamb's Laughter, subliminally lamb slaughter, tongue-in-cheek, sort of. They're all a byproduct of the food chain, just so you know. And so we have our knitwear collection as well as our shawl scarves, which I see you're wearing. And then as far as our ready-to-wear, we used a lot of hair-on hide in a blush palette with the military kind of army influences.
But there's a great kind of irreverence to the way you mix these pieces together. There's a wonderful juxtaposition. It's almost a kind of rustic glam. And I know it's those kinds of theatrical notions, I think, that really drive your creativity as a designer.
Yeah, well, being based in Calgary, we have huge climate shifts, so it's very much about layering, and I think that's largely influenced the way I design. I guess I would describe the collection as kind of rough luxe. We use very luxe fabrics, but we try to make them seem sort of effortless and that you could dress up or down and wear them to desk or dinner. And I focus primarily on texture as opposed to print. The other thought that I have when I'm designing is that every piece is sort of designed individually so that you could buy a single piece and fuse it into your existing wardrobe, not feel like you need to buy a head-to-toe look, but kind of personalize it to your own sensibility.
Getting your stuff out there is always a challenge. I mean, for every designer, really, distribution is really tough. And a lot of these Canadian names of designers we hear about and we love and we want more of their stuff, and it's not always that easy to access. You've done some interesting things in the way you've been able to supply your very strong, very loyal customer base.
Yeah. Well, when I first started, I started my company on a credit card. I don't really recommend that for most emerging designers. But I started selling directly to clients. Holt Renfrew had picked up my collection in its first season, and I sold with them for the first 10 seasons, and then I opened my first freestanding store. And at the 10-year mark, we opened a larger store. And we also now have our knitwear online and some of our accessories. The challenge of the business has really evolved with technology and online sales, so we're trying to navigate that. What a lot of people don't know is I've been operating very under the radar for the last several years because I was in a lawsuit over my trademark. And it prohibited me from wholesaling my ready-to-wear collection. So that's why not a lot of people had heard from me for a while, and that finally resolved itself this last summer, so we are planning on kind of getting back in the game full swing. And that's one of the reasons why I launched the other brand under a different label. So.
Well, we're chomping at the bit for more PaulHardy, and you can find more at the pop-up store. There's some things that run through the seasons. I mean, almost seasonless.
We put some pre-fall already for you, and also we're going to be doing a trunk show. We do made-to-measure shearling, so if there was one that you saw on the show but you would like it in a different color or in a different skin, we can actually personalize that for you. And so we're going to be at the pop-up after the show tonight till close if anybody's interested in looking at and trying them on.
How fabulous. Paul, thank you so much for all your talent and your tenacity, and you're just an inspiration to us all. Thank you, PaulHardy. Okay, now clothes are a big part of every fashion show, of course, and the models always look pretty fabulous in these clothes. But what helps them look fabulous, besides their natural good genes, are the hair and makeup people. And we have an extraordinary team of makeup artists and hairstylists back there working very hard. So to fill you in a little bit more about how the hair people and the makeup people really collaborate with the designers, I'd like to introduce you to the lead makeup artist from MAC. Jane is coming out, and also is George coming out as well from FashionCAN. So we've got makeup and hair. Hi.
Hi, good to see you.
Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. Okay, so really talented, beautiful. We saw just such a great array of looks so far. I know there are a few more to come. How do you work with the designers? I mean, who really is masterminding these hair and makeup looks that are so essential to the tone of the show?
Speaking about makeup, there's always usually some type of reference that comes from the designer where they'll give us an idea. So it could be a visual reference or a verbal reference, and then it's my job to interpret that and to take it, and I think to make it current today. So what we're seeing is a lot of great textures in makeup, from shine to matte to frost, and I really tried to translate that into a lot of the makeups that we saw, because I really love the play on texture on texture. So I'm not sure if you saw that on the runway, but a lot of metallics, shine, gloss, set against matte skin, and really it starts with the designer and what their inspiration is.
And for you, George, same thing?
Same idea. Us, it's all about the collection. We want the collection to shine, so whatever we can do to represent that, whether it be pleating, texture, sleek, whatever we can to really make that, push that next level. So really, it's the collection that gives us the inspiration where to take the hair.
Obviously, as with the styling of the clothing, the way the clothing is put together, there's a kind of heightened reality, a great sense of theatricality to some of the makeup styles or the hairstyles that we see. But how do we interpret what we're seeing on the runway, you know, in our own daily lives, in front of our own personal mirrors?
That's a good question, and I would say half the shows that we work on is makeup that's very wearable, so it's already translated. But then sometimes we do things that are a little bit more alternative, and I would say you can take a concept, even like what we just did at PaulHardy, which was kind of a gold helmet-shaped eye, and instead of making that line crisp, I would just soften it and diffuse it, and maybe just give the average woman a gold eyelid, and that would be an interpretation of that would be totally street ready.
One of the strong trends in hair is almost this very loose, uncontrived look. You want it to look natural, and we're seeing a lot of that on the runway here, thanks to your team at FashionCAN. What about a tip, perhaps, that you could give women for making their hair look really natural, but knowing that it's just not the rolled out of bed look?
Oh, of course. Well, always less is more. So don't fight your texture. People with straight hair or curly hair, you work with your texture and make that go to the maximum that you can. And I think that's what's going to be the easiest one. It's your natural texture, so it's going to work for you the best. It's what suits you. So don't fight it, embrace it, and really push what's working for you. That's what's going to be easier and suit you the best.
And any final tips for makeup? I mean, some people say, as we age, less is more. I don't know if you subscribe to that necessarily, but how do you feel about makeup in general? What can you give us?
My favorite thing with makeup these days is light reflection. There's amazing moisturizers that will create volume, luminosity. At MAC, we have one called Strobe Cream, and we just recently launched a bunch of colors, but they really illuminate and fill in the face and make it look more youthful and light reflective and glowing. This trend has been around for a while, but it's not going away.
Okay, well, I'm rushing out to get some right now. Thank you so much, Jane from MAC and George from Redken. Lots of love. Thanks for your talent. And thanks to all of you. We'll be back. Don't forget to visit the pop-up shop. It's right across from Anthropology. We'll see you in a bit.